What's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to the channel. UFC 284 is in the books. It's done. Fantastic main card, fantastic event, really. Perth put on a real show. It was great for Australia, an amazing event, and plenty to talk about, plenty to digest from the main card, especially the main event with a few people thinking that Volk did win the fight. So we'll get into all of that as well, and all the other main fights on the card. But if you are new around here, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so if you can click the sub button, any support is always very much appreciated. And also, if you're enjoying the content around here, leave a like on the video. So I think we'll start off with the main event. The main event's obviously the big talking point there. So Islam Makhachev defeating Alex Volkanovski by decision. It was a fantastic fight. It ebbed and flowed. Both guys had moments in the fight. Makhachev knocked Volk down a couple of times. Volk did the same to Makhachev. So, yeah, it was a great fight. I think 4 of the rounds were pretty clear-cut in terms of who won them. So I think round 1 went to Islam and round 4 went to Islam. And I think rounds 3 and 5 went to Volk. It's that second round is the big talking point. I was telling my mate the other day that it always seems to be round 2 and round 3 that decide the fights. Because always, it seems to be round 1, 4, and 5 go to like a guy. Round 2 and 3 are normally the ones, if it is a close fight, they're normally the two that are quite hard to really judge. And the second round, this fight was the one that was really hard. So, second round, again, I'm going to have to go back and watch the fight myself, because I'm seeing on social media a lot of people saying Volk won the fight. And Volk's my guy. I want Volk to win. But I just, watching it on the day, and I thought Islam did get that second round just. I thought it could have gone to Volk, it could have gone to Islam, but I just had Islam in my head watching it. If I watch back a second time, could it be different? Potentially. But yeah, I just had Islam there. So I did have Islam just edging it out 48-47, but it was razor thin. And anyone saying it is a robbery, it's not correct, because a robbery is when a guy wins 4 or 5 rounds and then they give it to the other guy. That's a robbery. A robbery is not, if a guy wins 3 rounds and the other guy wins 2. That's not a robbery, because it means it's close. It means it's a close fight. So it's not a robbery. And I would have loved Volk to have won, but it'd be interesting. But the one thing I do disagree with, though, is the 49-46 scorecard. I mean, it was such a close fight. It was never a 49-46. So, yeah, that scorecard can get in the bin, because it certainly wasn't a 49-46 fight. It was 48-47. It was a very close fight, but yeah, could have gone either way. And as I've said, it was an incredible fight. It did get Fight of the Night bonus, so it's pretty good when the main event of a pay-per-view is what's getting the Fight of the Night bonus. And then also with Yair Rodriguez getting Performance of the Night, along with Della, Maddalena, who we will speak about later on in the video. The big talking point now is, I want to hear what Dana White says, because from what I'm seeing, like guys like Joe Rogan, all that, they thought Volk won. And I'm seeing a lot of people are saying that Volk did get round 2, 3, and 5, which I thought he got 3 and 5, but I wasn't sure about 2. So, does Dana agree with the decision? Does he want to do an instant rematch? I don't know. The spanner in the works here is that Yair, who we'll speak about in a sec, obviously being the interim featherweight champion now, Volk has to really go down and fight him. But maybe do they do a quick turnaround with Islam and Volk and then fight maybe a year later in the year? Do they do Yair next and then Volk fights Islam later in the year? Do they not worry about it? Do they do it at the end of the year? Who knows? There's a lot of possibilities. It's going to, next couple of days, weeks, we're going to probably start seeing what's going to shape up in this division. So, well, both divisions, the featherweight and the lightweight division. So, because you've got Fiziev is fighting Gaethje, you've got Charles and Beneil Dariush are probably going to fight each other. So, if Beneil wins that fight or Fiziev beats Gaethje, well, then that might be the next fight for Islam. So, very interesting. Plenty of possibilities. But in terms of the fight, I think Volk was actually able to deal with Islam's grappling quite well. We saw he was able to get back to his feet a number of times. Islam had him in a body triangle, but Volk didn't panic. Really, Islam didn't do too much on the ground or anything like that. It was actually Islam's striking was actually where he was able to cause Volk a few discomforts there. So, and I think maybe Volk probably underestimated Islam's stand-up a little bit. So, it's funny that Islam probably underestimated Volk's ground game. Volk probably underestimated Islam's striking. So that's probably what made it such a fun fight. So both guys probably underestimated each other a little bit in terms of certain aspects of their game. But it was a great fight, and I really do hope we do get to see the rematch. And as a Volk fan myself, I probably feel a little bit more confident going into a second fight that he could get the job done. But then again, could Islam do even better in the next fight? So I want to see that fight again. So moving to the co-main event, though, Yair Rodriguez beating Josh Emmett in very superb fashion. He was just dominant. But Josh Emmett didn't have a bad fight either. Josh Emmett did have a couple of moments in there as well, but Yair just was pretty flawless in my book. He threw things out of nowhere that Josh didn't see coming. And Yair is a puzzle. He's a hard puzzle to solve. And I did speak about it in my preview. I did say that I thought the puzzle would be too much for Emmett. And that is what came to fruition, I think. So, yeah, Yair, great win. And got him in that submission. But that fight with Volk coming up now. Volk versus Yair is probably going to be the next fight, I would imagine, unless anything changes. So, it's going to be a tough fight for Volk because I have said Yair is a tough puzzle to solve. So, I'm really looking forward to that fight there. And I don't know exactly what next for Josh Emmett, but I'm sure that he'll get a match up against someone up there again. So both guys will still be at the top of the featherweight division, but obviously Yair will be fighting the champion Alexander Volkanovski in his next fight. Moving to the third fight, Della Maddalena with a fantastic performance again. And I mentioned that Yair had a fantastic performance. He did get performance of the night, and so did Della Maddalena. So they're the two guys that got performance of the night bonuses. Della Maddalena has now got 3 performance bonuses in a row, and all 4 of his UFC fights are finished in the first round, all with finishes. So he's an exciting prospect, especially in Australia here. A lot of people are talking about him now, so it's going to be very interesting to see who he gets next. I would imagine he gets a top 15 opponent now. He did mention Vicente Luque in the post-fight press conference that could potentially be a matchup that he likes to look of and he thinks could be a banger. So could we see that fight? That'd be an incredible fight. But I think Della Maddalena showed that he is a real deal, because Randy Brown is a tough opponent. He's sort of no one to sleep on. So the fact that Della Maddalena got it done in the first round was very, very impressive, and he just has such a bright future. So at welterweight, he's definitely a guy that I think the guys at the top of the division are probably going to have to put down as a guy that they may have to deal with in the future. Moving on to the fourth fight is Justin Tafa and Parker Porter. Again, mentioned the preview. This fight could have been finished with one punch. It could have ended early, and that's exactly what Justin Tafa did. He's been out for just over a year. Probably he was 2-3 in the UFC, so a little bit up and down. So probably worked on a couple of things with the year off, but came back. He looked fantastic from start to finish, and it wasn't very long. It was only about a minute, but he looked great. So kudos to him. I thought Parker Porter might have got the job done with the more experience, but Justin Tafa, very, very impressive. And it'd be very interesting to see who he gets matched up with next, because does he get a guy just on the brink of the top 15? Does he get a guy that's maybe ranked 14 or 15? Be very interesting to see what happens there. But I would imagine probably one more unranked opponent. If he can win that, then maybe a guy that's ranked. But I guess we'll see for that one. And then the final fight on the main card, Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Menifield. That was an absolute banger of a fight. Both guys had moments as well. Jimmy Crute, 3 takedowns early in the first round, but then Alonzo hurt him quite badly in the back end of the first round, which meant that Alonzo probably stole the round. In my eyes, he stole the round at the end. I think Alonzo Menifield got the second round as well, but there was that third round that was obviously the controversial round and the talking point, because Jimmy Crute went for a takedown and Alonzo grabbed the fence, which, because it was a clear and obvious grab of the fence, and it could have been really a fight-sealing takedown, Mark Goddard had no choice but to take a point away from Alonzo Menifield, which meant that it was a 10-8 round, because Jimmy Crute did win the final round, which meant it was a draw. So again, do they run that back? Do they have new opponents and have the rematch down the line? I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight again, because it was crazy from start to finish. But it just depends what the UFC are thinking. Do they want Jimmy Crute to fight someone else? Do they want him to fight Alonzo again? It's going to be interesting to see who those two guys get matched up with next. But all in all, it was a fantastic main card. Then just cover honorable mentions really quickly as well. Modestas Bukauskas, impressive performance against Tyson Pedro. Tyson Pedro did look not quite as sharp as what he has in other fights, especially the last fight he had. So disappointing from his standpoint, but Bukauskas on a week's notice is an impressive performance, and that's his third fight in 13 weeks. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who he gets next as well. And also very impressive performances from Josh Emmett. Rodriguez, he's going to be a problem at flyweight as well. He got that done very, very quickly. So impressive performance from him. And then also Jay Malaki over a young and up-and-coming who was 11-0 before coming up against Jay Malaki. So good win for Jamie there. He called up Paddy Pimblett after. That'd be a very fun fight if that did come together. Australia versus England. It'd be an incredible fight. So we'll see if that does play out, or does Paddy maybe get a ranked opponent? We don't know. We'll have to see who he gets next. But that could be a pretty fun fight on the cards in the future. So all in all, fantastic event. Perth put on a show, and I imagine that Australia will be on the cards for another pay-per-view this year as well. They have talked about that they want to get here again in Australia this year. So fantastic. But that'll be all for today. But thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you do like the video if you enjoyed the content. Also, subscribe to the channel, as I mentioned before, on our way to reaching 1,000 subscribers. So if you can help me reach that goal, that'd be very much appreciated. And turn notifications on so you don't miss when I go live or when I post any other content. And all my social media links are in the description below. So make sure you go and follow all of those as well. But we'll be back for UFC 285, which is actually just under 3 weeks away now. So we got Jon Jones making his long-awaited return. But not only that, he's moving up to heavyweight. And he's going to be fighting for the vacant heavyweight title against Cyril Gane, who's the former interim heavyweight champion. So that is a fun fight there. Can't wait to see what Jon Jones does at heavyweight. And then in the co-main event of that one, we have Valentina Shevchenko defending her flyweight title against Alexa Grasso. So that'll be a very intriguing fight as well. We'll be back for those and then the recap after that as well. So thank you very much for tuning in, guys, and we'll catch you guys in a few weeks. So I'm out. Cheers.